You go back into the earlier shows we had.
That's fabulous.
This is the Pandora black box. You've got a black box TARDIS. Inside there is a bigger universe than the one outside. In the room, 52 Jokers Wild.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to In the Room with 52 Jokers Wild. Our guest this week is Dave Thomas, a multi-award-winning writer, director, and producer, having recent successes with Aretha and 1 Billion, among many others. And we were actually looking through your CV and just saw this plethora of stuff, and you've been in the industry a long, long time. And we started to realize that over most of our conversations, we've really just been getting into the kind of nitty-gritties of film industry and stuff like that. And maybe we've just been repeating that time and time again. So basically, I suppose what we should really ask is, what got you interested in producing and directing your current crop of scripts?
Wow, that's a good question. Let's see, I don't know. Excuse me.
But take that. I'm back in now. You don't know. I'll move on. No. Go on.
No.
I haven't got my first answer in yet. Hang on.
No, I don't know is the answer. I don't know is the answer. We're going with that. We warned you beforehand.
Oh, dear.
Seriously, I think probably I just love film. I mean, I absolutely love film. Always did. I think it's probably because, which also drives some of the stories that I've done. I have a disability. So I have a physical disability from the knees down in both legs. So when I was a child, I was in and out of hospital a lot. So I was incapacitated from either, surgery or a broken leg or getting tests done or whatever it was. So I spent a lot of my childhood and into my teens in and out of hospital. So I was kind of like at home watching TV, all of the awesome channels that we had back then.
God help you in the past. I know we've got some channels now, but at least you're going back 30, 40 years. You're going between two test screens of BBC and RTE. You're going, no wonder you were driven to create something better.
Well, the BBC, you had the cat series on top of the TV.
Yeah.
So, and then you had, my little sister was a few years younger than me. So I had to get her to hold the cat series because if somebody held it, the reception was better. You picked up a better screen. You had all the snow effect.
If you hadn't got the metal ones there, Dave, it'd be great. That poor cat's been traumatized all its life now. It's picking up 65 stations.
We used to have the radio rentals one, and we used to have to put 50p into the slot. And it always happened just as the penultimate scene was about to happen. And you'd be fighting the dog who was barking left, right, and centre to try and get it in. And then you just get the end credits. And you went, I missed the end. What happened? I have to watch it again on the repeat in 5 months' time.
Yeah, I used to watch Doctor Who on the BBC. I love Doctor Who.
Yes.
And I'd be watching on the BBC, and it'd be all the grainy stuff, And it was the first time I was watching it, it was John Pertwee was the Doctor, and it was his last kind of series, and then Tom Baker took over. So I'd be watching that, and through all the snowy effect on the screen and trying to figure it and see. And then I go, like you were saying, sometimes you would go, you just lose reception. And that was it. It took like 15 years before I saw the end of the episode.
I'm going to jump back in, Dave, because I'm at remembering something here, and you'll probably like it. And it's terrible if it's not, PC or appropriate. But you opened the door here, and you've given me Doctor Who. I'm going there. Actually, if you actually ever get to the stage of going to one of our earlier episodes, there's a good 15 minutes of an argument as to whether it's Stavros or Davros. So we're in terms. Now you might remember the King of the Daleks. Now, you mentioned you had a disability, and if your favorite program is Doctor Who, I'm thinking you had your parents' plague to turn you into a Dalek and hopefully Stavros or Davros, depending on who he was. Because you can do that motorized
Stavros
number.
came from Kojak. I think
Right,
Stavros
that's it. He's Lollipop Man. Lollipop Man.
Davros
so
is
it's
the other.
Davros, the King of the Daleks. So was he one of your favorite characters around that time?
Everybody loves a good villain, and he was a brilliant villain.
He's a great villain.
Great villain. And if you wanted a good nemesis for Doctor Who, he was brilliant. And yet the technology, yes, he was in this half of a Dalek, surrounded by the technology. And I looked at that, and he was able to move around without walking. I can walk, and I walk awkwardly, but I walk. But at the time, kind of when I couldn't walk,
This has nothing to do with walking. If you could have a Stavros little number going around, I'd be giving up and doing it myself there now. That's the Blart, what's your man Blart Mall Cop. You go, that was your precursor to those to your what segues, I think it is, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to stick on this for a second because my brain goes there. I'm now on to Star Trek and Captain Pike. And a later episode of Captain Pike, he's he's got himself one of the Daleks, segues. So I think, you should have been. You should have been looking into getting yourself a Dalek Segway. That's the opportunity you're missing here.
But it's a pity you can't see it. But actually, no, you can't see them. Oh no, they're behind the screen. But I do have 2 TARDIS, and I have also the Daleks, which is right behind.
I
knew it. There you go. There's no way we fell on this subject by accident.
Is the TARDIS the biscuit tin type thing? Because that's what we've got. We've got a TARDIS.
You want me to show you? I can get up and get it.
Go on. This is fun.
Okay.
Now, if you get hurt here now, we will have to go over to your house and throw the body out the window because there it is. Excellent.
Now, brilliant. Yes, we've got. That's the mug version. Okay.
Yep. Comes with
we've got the biscuit versions.
The brilliant thing about this is the real thing.
This is the real story.
We have in another.
Hang on, if I can open it.
Oh, look at that!
But there's no one going to see this on podcast space. So I'm going to let you know we have a mini TARDIS.
They will on the videos.
We have is, if you go back into the earlier shows we had,
that's fabulous.
This is the Pandora black box. You've got a black box TARDIS. Inside there is a bigger universe than the one outside.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna advise the audience, if you're just listening to this you've got to go onto YouTube and watch the video at this point in the show, because that was some great special effects going on.
Now
noise of the.
We're going to forget about the films of the past. You've got your own TARDIS. You've passed up on the Dalek segue, and what we're saying is you have your own personal universe in a box in the living room, right? You can time travel to anywhere in the universe. Where are you going, mate? Where are you off to?
Out of this interview as quickly as possible.
First honest person we've had on the show.
And we won't even know as you're gone. We'll keep on going anyway because we have the subject matters.
No, don't go.
But it's funny that after all these years, I'm actually funny if you mentioned Star Trek as well. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and literally behind me on the TV are about 20 or 30 ships.
Yes.
Birds of prey. Am I looking at birds of prey in the background?
Yes.
Right. Birds of prey. You're going. Actually, hold on a second. Now you've written. I'm going to swing it back for you. You have a couple of movies. They're addressing various subjects.
Yeah.
I am very, very disappointed. There's no shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, space time travel, bird of prey, Dalek, multiverse. You're going. What you could have been talking about, right? You've got all the awards. Great. What's the bird of prey Star Trek multiverse you've got in the back pocket?
If I told you that, everybody will just write it down and copy it. So it's a big secret. In other words, I haven't got a clue.
Are you going there? Are you going where that no man's gone before, or woman, or anything else in between? The sense of is that the journey in the plan? Is that plan in the journey or journey in the plan?
I was reading. I would love to write for them, and direct them, but I'd love to do a Star Trek. Absolutely, I'm a big fan. Of Star Trek.
There we go.
I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, and I see that one of my favorite writers of all time, who also reinvented Doctor Who and brought it back, as we know it now, is coming back as the showrunner, which is Russell T Davies. And Russell T Davies has totally give really good new life to Doctor Who.
They have the budget. The weird thing is they've done that with cardboard boxes back in 1972. You're going, now what we couldn't do with blue screen, green screen, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And the other screen, the round screen,
exactly. The Mandalorian one, is it?
And using Unreal Engine, because I'm exploring Unreal Engine, because I have a film that I'm trying to finish off, and I've suddenly realized if I use Unreal Engine, I could do all the special effects I wanted to do, which I couldn't do years ago with the 3D software packages that I'm doing. So
I'm back to Star Trek, George, for a second, because Because Star Trek in our days, because we're all a little bit longer in the tooth than the current ones, was Little House on the Prairie in space. It was, they're off out there. They're basically making friends and influencing people. And somebody, and we know the unknown, newly named crew member was forced against the wall in that episode, and you'd never see him again. But today, we've got cannibalism, shoot them up, blow them up. It's who gets to survive an episode. So it seems to be much more violent and pretty much covers all subject matters. Do you prefer Little House on the Prairie, Star Trek, or you shoot them up, blow them up, aliens, watch out?
I like, you see, I like both, but in Star Trek, it was Gene Roddenberry who created Star Trek. It was his vision to create a series, like you say, Little House on the Prairie, that was full of hope, optimism, a brighter future. You know, we're going places where no one has ever been before, and therefore we're going to create a better life. And there's no poverty, and there's no discrimination, there's no hate. So that kind of vision I liked. It's been a bit lost in the newer movies and series of Star Trek. But I think with the new series that's about to come on very, very soon, which is Strange New Worlds, and that's the Captain Pike story of, he's on the Enterprise. So that's going to do,
I mentioned Captain Pike not a couple of seconds ago. This is unbelievable. Yeah.
So
Oh no, that's what it is. Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to swing back and start, because what's interesting here is we just had William. We mentioned in the last episode, good old Kirk done a little lap of honor of space there now last week with Jeff, and the oldest astronaut with his jail free card for a bus. I didn't realize your pension card could get you on the space shuttle or into space, but he seems to pull that one off. Yeah. But now, this is a worldwide, are we on a self-fulfilling prophecy on that basis for Space Shuttle, Voyager, Enterprise, and all the naming of any spaceships going forward, and Elon Musk out there? Do you get a feeling with Bitcoin, Ethereum, one currency, one language, ones and zeros, it's becoming the self-fulfillment prophecy and we're on the way to Mars?
Oh, okay. I've got very mixed views on this, right? I'll probably even controversial view on this one.
Yeah, so Garvin, let him finish it. Okay, let him finish it. I want to hear these views.
I think we are heading that direction, and that's what's going to happen. Yeah, we are going to end up with the equivalent of the Enterprise, as we see in the movies, and we are going to go to Mars and beyond. My view is that what I think that's exciting, and yes, I would love to be on the ship. I would love to see Mars. I'd love to see space. I think my controversial view would be that I don't think we should be allowed to travel beyond Earth. I think we're not fit to do that, because we're destroying the planet that we have, and instead of looking to another planet where we can go, which will be safer maybe and better than Earth, we will just destroy it as well, because that's who we are. We are a violent race. We are a dirty race. We are polluting our own air and our own world. That's going to kill us, which is pretty dumb. So I think as we stand today, I don't think we should be allowed to go and inhabit another planet where inevitably we'll do the same thing all over again.
Conspiracy theories say, and one of the biggest questions out there is, we keep on thinking we're going to go up to another planet and see some lizard or some four-armed octopus, or he's lost half them, whatever the case may be. But it's the fright we're going to get is if we see what equivalent is another human. We are the alien. We are already at the doom that we're here. That's what we did in the past, and now it's happening again. Do you have a feeling that
they've actually explored a few of those? I've got somebody hammering now. They've explored those ideas in some really recent films as well, which I think where it turns out that the people that you thought were the protagonists were the humans turned out to be the aliens, and it was the humans that the ones that were coming, which actually follows on from the story you were talking about there, Dave, that we're not fit to go out there and do stuff because we are. And the interesting thing is that the rich people that are going out there at the moment are the ones that want to go and exploit space. And that's where the ethos has actually changed from where the original Star Trek was, that it wasn't about exploiting all these other people. It was actually trying to bring them into harmony in some form or fashion.
True, yeah. And our history shows that the equivalent of the Jeff Bezos and so on, would be the Christopher Columbus, the Walter Raleigh, the people who are actually out on these boats, traveling the universe of the seas, and exploring the unknown areas and finding new civilizations and so on. And historically, we as a race, we were more advanced than the places we were visiting. So we took ownership of those lands. We dominated those people, sometimes enslaved those people. And then when we didn't need them, we pushed them to one side and we just took over, and then we destroyed it. And that's just what we've been doing. And that's how I see the Jeff Bezos and the various people who have the power, the wealth to travel to space. It's about real estate. It's about them staking their claim on Mars and saying, I own this particular property and I'm going to take this particular area as mine. And then the wealthy people from here who will need to get off Earth because we're destroying it, the area will be gone, or the planet will be about to blow up or something like that. They will be the ones who will be on the flight. It won't be me, because the tickets will be outrageous to pay.
No, we there's actually now, this is where it's interesting. We're also on the journey in what's it called? Altered carbon. You can beam up and beam down. You're just ones and zeros. We're waves. We're energy. So if in fact we can upload ourselves into the data center in one of our many episodes before, then how we go is through ones and zeros into the matrix, into that realm of the never-ending story. It's not that we go by matter. We go by mind, and therefore that's how we travel. That's how we go faster than the speed of light, and how we bend through universe, how we store ourselves and reformat ourselves. So, but the body, we're on the self-fulfilling prophecy of nanotechnology and biology. We can grow body parts, we can repair X, we can nanoize something else. The bit that we can't is the soul and the mind. But I mean, they say that that's the journey at the moment as well. I think, again, it's actually Elon Musk. It's that journey to AI. It's not the AI as much as to be able to capture consciousness, and that the soul can then transcend multiple bodies or clones. Or
there's something interesting about that kind of concept that we're talking about there, about controlling the soul. If you look at the way that the social media giants are gathering data about all of us and everything, that we're no longer private because of the invasion of what's going on, that's all about controlling individuals and controlling the spirit within the person so they conform to a certain way of doing things. And if you don't follow that, which is what we're being told is happening in China at the moment, if you don't follow those principles, basically you're punished in some form or fashion. I mean, that's really draconian. It's not free. It's gone completely against the way of thinking that we've had up until this particular point in time. And it's not about controlling the earth to make it a better place. It's about controlling us so that they can still, destroy the earth the way they want, because they want to make as much out of it. So it's not about our own good or anything like that. And I think this idea of turning us into nanobots and digitals of ones and zeros is kind of really losing the plot a little bit, because you mentioned the soul.
I always lose the plot.
Yeah, I know. But the soul and the spirit is something is actually quite precious. And I don't think you can actually control it in the way that some people think.
I'm going to stop you there, George. You just hit the nail on the head. If the soul and the mind and all the rest is quite precious as a value is monetary, and that's exactly, if you go to Altered Carbon, it was all about controlling the soul, its ability to manifest or be downloaded or uploaded into like old bodies or young bodies. The thing is, it's a never-ending story that is your journey on the planet. It's what stories you live behind, what ones and zeros of billion and Irita that represent your testimonial on the planet.
I think the falsehood there is the belief,
and then you have to pay €1 for it.
Yeah, that you can control it by some kind of physical being or physical thing. I think the release of the other is where people should be trying to explore things more. And I think that's an interesting journey to actually go, which is really what Star Trek was talking about. Do you know what I mean?
He was trying to talk about something.
No, sorry, Dave.
To interrupt. Sorry, I just want to say that. You touched on something.
Don't be sorry.
It's another you could get really deep in this and say, well, then, you were saying about the
We'll go where no show has gone before. Don't worry. We're going there. Yeah.
Could be downhill. But anyway, right. So we're talking about is the soul. And, I would say, well, how do you know there's a soul? And if there is a soul, I don't know if there's a soul or not, or if I believe in there's a soul.
There's a band, Soul to Soul, David Soul. I think the song is Soul.
Dave Soul.
Well, actually, it's interesting because Thomas Aquinas has actually talked about the fact that the reason why we know there's a soul is because I've got an object here that is actually dead. There's this little thing. It's dead. It's inanimated. And once the soul leaves the body here, we become inanimated and we become dead in the same kind of way. So, there's that physical thing no longer can function. So we know that when something's animated and it can have the conversation that we're having, there must be a soul in there that's connected to that being.
I'm going to take that word and go, there must be power in there, right? So electricity, power, waves, energy. There's energy in there. Now, whether it's actually cognizant or can actually go beyond and do something else, that's a whole lot. So, but we'll go back to we might swing it back in for a second and go, I think you wrote a book, you made a film, you did something, I don't know what the hell it is. We didn't watch it,
that's authorial.
Just to let the audience know, I think Dave works in the film industry. We're not too sure what he does.
I'm not
We're trying to remember that part.
What's the question? Is there anything you want to talk about, Dave? Now, we touched on your soul, the inanimate, the immobile, start with Birds of Prey, with Daleks.
Actually, hang on, I don't believe something out, right? Hang on, let me just get this. I just want to show how much of a nerd.
Oh no, he's brought Star Wars in now.
No, look, you're asking for trouble now. You really are.
Not Star Wars. I mean, you talked about things going downhill. As soon as you bring Star Wars and it goes to, let's bring it back to Star Trek.
It's back to the same subject. He knows he could have got in that bloody. He could have been in the. I don't know what actor was in there. I can't remember his name. You probably do. You're saying, I wanted one of these. I could have been going around the kitchen of this thing. You're going, there's a bin outside. We put a couple of wheels on it. We're laughing. You're going, and that's where you are. It's the same tech. It's the Segway. You've been crying out all your life for an immobilized Segways.
Yeah. I just want to be R2D2 or something like that.
We all do. No, hold on a second.
This is what my kids are into now. And they're in their 30s. This whatever this, it's the breachy thing.
The Transformers, is it?
It's like a Transformer type kind of thing, but I think it's those big robots that the Japanese tend to have.
George, we're back to the same question here. There's a movie. You want to be R2D2. I mean, anyone worth their salt out there is going to be, I want to be Darth Vader. Or they're normally going, it's the hero.
That's because Darwin's on the dark side. I don't know who wanted to be Luke Skywalker.
I reckon everyone wanted a cloak and wand. There was, and the boots and the hat or the helmet. You're going, who the hell wanted to be the blue-eyed kid? We all want to be Vader. Or do you
Dave's wearing white. He's definitely that. We're wearing black. We must be on the dark side in this situation here.
You got to be on the dark side.
Oh dear.
You're back to Little House in the Prairie again in space. You're going, you don't want to be on that side. You want to be the bunch that are winning. They got the great tech. They got the big Death Star. Got the great uniforms. They look well. They dress well. They must be doing something right.
Garvin, they always lose.
They always lose. Yeah,
no, that's because you bloody
they haven't got the force with them. They haven't got the force.
Swing it around at the end. No way they lose in real life. No way they lose in real life.
Well, actually, there's something quite interesting because one of the complaints about the recent last 3 Star Wars is the fact that the heroes aren't heroes. They're weak sort of people, and you don't see character development going on within each of the characters. Like the women are always seen to be superheroes and don't need to grow as a person. And that's one of the problems that's been sort of thrown at those particular films. What are your thoughts on that? How do you see character development in those more recent films compared to what we would have seen before, even though those characters were very flawed?
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of the characters in the more recent films are not as developed and they're a bit kind of two-dimensional. And there's one of the movies in particular was the Han Solo movie. And I remember watching it and thinking, I would have loved to have a go at that, to have to write the origin story and the standalone Han Solo movie. Because it was, while there was a lot of action, all the special effects were there, the wonderful special effects, it was lacking something, and it was lacking heart. It was lacking the
Soul. They're lacking soul.
There you go.
Yeah, the soul, yeah. It was
Too
We're not
mechanical.
talking Barry White here now either. Or the commitments.
It was definitely lacking the soul, the David soul, or some kind of soul. And I would have loved to have go, yeah, I think so. And I think with Steven Spielberg said something like about movies. Every movie today, they said, has a beginning and a middle, and that's it.
Yes.
Well, you have to have the next part. You see, there's no end. You can't have an end in there, or you just fix up the franchise. So, I mean, you got to keep it open. No, actually, no, I'm going to jump back and go for a second. You would have loved to wrote that or this. There's an interesting community out there, the fanzine bunch that goes, feck you, we're writing our own, right? And they actually go off and write it and get together and do it. So you don't need permission other than, there's a certain, you can go off there and write that Star Trek.
Yeah.
And just we're saying you can write it. It may not get made. You might have a bit of trouble with the IP, but you can certainly go on the journey of going, I'm bringing these characters off to the right. We're going to go off and do a little bit of this disco dancing. We're not going to go off doing, do the good, bad, and the ugly over there. We have that. That's exactly the business you're in. I'd love to write that. Yeah. Well, then let's write that. Where should they have gone? What adventures should they have had? And I think, given the tech out there today, you could probably get a community behind you that could get that up and out there and actually have a better following than the real thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I've actually watched, I love YouTube, by the way. So I watch a lot of movies and a lot of short movies in particular. And there's a lot of fan-made movies in Star Trek, Star Wars. There's a few Doctor Who, which are not quite great, but they're they're interesting. But the definitely on the Star Trek and the Star Wars, you're right, because with the green screen, with the iMac computers like that I have, the software that I use for editing and so on, you can you can put in the special effects. Yeah, and I've seen some fan-made movies that are, if not better than the Hollywood, the movies.
I'm reminded of one. I don't know if this is real or imaginary now in my own head, because I can't tell the difference between that, the real world and my own world. But there was an episode or a film or some part of it, and Spock was in a cave, right? And he could have been stuck there for a while. So here's somewhere you have a dark space. You got a Vulcan going Elvis Vulcan mind, of course, and you can have the whole monologue with himself with a big pair of pointy ears. We know who it is. It's a bit dark. You get a couple of eyebrows, and you go, that's all you need, and a torch. And you go, and he can be there for a good 90 minutes, doing his Vulcan mantra. And that's all you need. What was he doing in the cave for a couple of years?
You need a second person. You need two people to have a conflict.
He has a mirror, George. That will do.
There's a mirror in the cage.
So he plays two characters.
Spock on Spock. That's what you want.
Spock on Spock. That's it.
There's a group of fans, actually, that in America, I can't remember what state it's in. I think it's outside of New York, right? But I'm not 100% sure. And they built the original 60s Enterprise sets.
Oh, wow.
And it's exactly the same as the 60s. And there's videos of them fundraising and with donations and so on, and gradually how they built on. But they have the actual 60s set of the Enterprise. And what they do is they make their own fan films in that set, but they also allow other people to come in and with their costumes and use the set to recreate Star Trek episodes with the original looking set.
I guarantee on YouTube they're making money back to back, hand over fist on YouTube without ever leaving the Enterprise, rooms. So you're going, I said, it's where we're going today, Jim. Anywhere you want. It's because all here, that's the special effects. And we're actually, that's it. They're looking out the window or the portal and they're going, right, who's on the starboard bow? Oh, the Vulcans are. But I mean, you don't have to see them. You just have to go, that just sets the conversation off. And that's where we're going in our journey. We're doing most of it in our mind. We're doing an awful lot of dreaming the dream. We're doing a bit of talking the talk at the moment. Soon enough, we hope to walk the walk. You're walking the walk for the last while now. You've done a bunch of stuff that's getting great reviews. That, as we were talking to a few of our other, people on the shows, we're saying it's like the CV, that's the resume. That gives me permission that I win awards, I write good stories, but that was the permission to go do that passion one. the real one, the only one that matters, the only show in town. It's the commitments again. You're going, there's one more before you go. What is it?
Okay, do I have to answer that question?
George will answer it for you. Go on. We don't want to let you answer it.
I really don't know. I mean, I think the way I see it is that I am a dreamer. I am a storyteller. And that's what I ultimately am. Not necessarily say a filmmaker or a producer or whatever, because I've used all different aspects of the media over 35 years or thereabouts to tell a story. So that's what I've been doing every so many years. I use different types of media, whether it's radio or film or print or whatever it is. So if I was to do the last, my thing is, right, as a writer, somebody who likes to create stuff, is that while I would love to write the ultimate, say, Star Wars or Star Trek or Doctor Who series, whatever, I would only do it if it has to be original and it was going to be screened so that people enjoy it. So because which I didn't realize actually how much I enjoy when I go to film festivals and I see my thing on the screen, and I hate looking at my stuff up on the screen. But when I'm watching them and listening, is the people around going ooh or laugh, and and I get a great buzz out of that. And it's like I can imagine like entertainers on stage, and I'm not an entertainer as such. I work in the media as well, but I don't like being the center of attention. I don't like being on stage with a spotlight. I'm not into that kind of thing. But
I'll take that. You give it to me. You just write for me. Off we go.
You have your own spotlight. You carry your own spotlight.
That's
around.
it, yeah.
I carry it everywhere I go, but I'm just standing in the corner with my own spotlight. I don't need anybody else.
But I think that's why entertainers, I think, get is this kind of energy they get from an audience. And I think that's what keeps them going on stage. They love that feedback from the audience. Well, I get it from sitting in an audience, and no one knows it's me that I made this thing that they're watching. And I get pure enjoyment out of that, to hear.
I can't tell from the 4 spotlights shining on your bald head, You're just there like... And we have one in the audience now. He's a special guest. He wrote, directed, produced and starred in this. But he's the one with the black glasses in the corner wearing a hoodie.
I have my own drum roll on my phone that I'm walking the room. The big announcement, here he is. But there's something about that's really cool, I think. Yeah. So... yeah, I don't know. If I was to write something, I would love to write a Star Trek. If I was the last thing I ever wrote, if it was one last final project, would be a Star Trek movie. Or
it's a journey. It's a voyage of discovery. That's what you're saying. You're going. It's something that hasn't been written, a place that hasn't been visited. And like an epic, heroic battle of some description.
Yeah, in that sense, you're having to create your own universe as a starting point to work out what that universe is, so that you can create multiple stories and then develop.
There are no rules. You pretty much say.
Yeah, that becomes something interesting, because once you've created the universe of where could eventually be a TV series, and they say the Star Trek universe, they say the Marvel universe. No, actually, the Marvel universe is actually old mythical gods coming back, from the Greeks and the Vikings and all that kind of stuff. So it's old hat, really. It's nothing new that's going on. And I think that's quite. I mean, you can pick so much from reading older literature. I'm reading.
You've opened another door, George.
I know, but I think it's really interesting.
I'm going ancient alien again. I can't help myself. You reckon a couple of civilizations?
I'm sure Plato mentioned that somewhere along the line as well.
Have been wiped out. Are we the next, like a third and fourth iteration? Maybe we're Web 5 and 6 now at the moment. Versus we were already here 70,000 years ago. Something wiped us out. We did a restart. And
he's talking about Plato now. He's talking about Atlantis.
Yes. No, but again, Atlantis, it could be the pyramids. We're finding everywhere we look now. We're finding fucking pyramids under the snow, under the water. In the middle of a forest, and up a mountainside. It's too much. Now, again, we never had technology before that can look through forests and map from the stars, looking back on the planet. It was always there in plain sight. Now we're having to we can't come up with excuses anymore to go, sure, we couldn't get a hammer and chisel today and make that. So something went on before. Was it planted there? Was it aliens? Was it just a lost civilization on the wipeout? And now we're the next iteration. What do you think?
Well, you're talking my language now there, because I
French?
Yeah.
The sixth extinction.
English is my first language, and I'm still struggling with that all my life. But no, I think the whole thing of I'm fascinated by the fact that there was technology definitely when many years ago. There's a wonderful. I'm sure you know what I'm going to talk about. There's a wonderful carving in I think it's the big pyramid, of an Egyptian holding what looks like a light bulb. And the light bulb is illuminating the scene in front of him. This is all carved in so that it shows somebody working on something. And this Egyptian's holding this big, massive light bulb. It's about, I'd say, 10 foot in size. And there's like a cable coming out at the end of it. And that's carved into the wall of the pyramid. And so what does it mean? It's a shape like a modern day light bulb, and it's illuminating. So it's very little to misinterpret what that actually is. So there's another carving of that's very clearly an airplane.
And a helicopter as well.
A helicopter, yeah. So and
DNA, funnily enough, somewhere else.
Yes.
And as you said about the pyramids themselves, you look at how they've been cut and how they aligned. Yeah, incredible, and no gap between them. Where they're just each one is block, which is I think is over a ton. I think in weight is placed, and the angles and so on. It's incredible technology that and I think it's kind of more laughable to say to dismiss the idea.
Yes.
I'm
going X-Files on your ass now. I'm going.
Well, it's the Anunnaki as well.
Do you believe? It's out there. Do you believe it's out there or it's here? Actually, a couple of weeks ago, it was about a couple of months ago now, there was a bit of news, or meant to be big news, coming from the Americas about the Roswells, and really nothing happened. I don't know what the answer was in the end. But what was meant to release was, we don't know. We can't explain it. We don't want to try and explain it. But there's stuff out there. There's something out there. And it might be under the sea. It might be here. It might be slightly out there. But if it was out there or here, it's always been here. It took that forever to get here. It's sort of maybe more likely never left. What do you think? Do you think it's here? Do you think it's watching? Do you think it's taking care of us? Because if it was going to kill us, we'd be already gone. Because if it's here, it took a lot to get here. They're not coming. I think they're trying to take care of us. That's my thought at the moment. And they're releasing the information to us to bring us up to speed. That's what's happening in the last 100 years, in my perception. What's your perception?
Yeah, I know what you mean about that report in particular. That they looked at, I think it was 145 different cases of sightings, and out of the 145, there was 144 they couldn't confirm that there were still unknown craft, and so the report backed up the stories from the various pilots that were flying. In the military and the Navy, actually, they were flying their planes around, that there was definitely objects flying around of technology that we don't have. But what's controlling?
Like in Chinese, they've got everything. You go, that's it.
Well, I've been watching I've got the DVD set of the old UFO TV, Jerry Anderson's old TV series, because we've mentioned the X-Files when talking about all these things at the moment. And you kind of wonder, well, where did they get the research from that sort of gave the depth of knowledge that they had in those TV shows? And I was actually quite surprised how much information was actually in UFO about questioning where things had come from. The same conversation we're currently having now, which is what, now 50 years later, that we're having the same conversation that the characters were actually discussing on set in the shows week after week for 26 weeks, which I thought, wow, that's amazing, because where did they get their ideas from? It came out 5 years after Star Trek, basically, but the ideas were permeating around in those shows as well, because they got out of the 72 episodes that they had, where do you think that this knowledge is actually coming from, and why do you think it's being filtered through to us now?
I think there's a lot of people who already have that knowledge that have been the gatekeepers of the knowledge, not necessarily the CIA or the FBI or whatever, but there are. I think they are involved as well. Obviously, the whole stuff. But I think there are other people that the people who work. The people who work in the industry of technology, are very aware. And I'm thinking there's a guy's name who it's on the tip of my tongue. He's a billionaire. He has a company who gets a lot of the contracts from the American government.
It's a film. No, it's a book. No.
It's bugging me his name actually, but it'll come to me in a minute. But
it's not the Elons, it's not the Jeffs, it's not. No. It's someone else.
Yeah, and I can see him. Yeah, but anyway, he's
David Bowie, the man that fell to earth.
Yeah. He's actually, I mean, he gets a lot of contracts from NASA and so on, and government contracts, and they make a lot of the crafts and bits of rockets and so on and satellites. And he actually came out and said that he knew that he had the information and he wasn't holding it onto it, that the aliens are already here. He said they're under our nose, they're already around us, and have been for a very long time. And so I think there's people like him who already have information, are quietly, years ago, quietly releasing and giving information to various people, that can then formulate TV series.
We touched on this in another one of our shows, George, and we're saying, if you're already here, lads, you got to step up. You got to step up and do some serious jigging, dancing, pelvic thrusting on TikTok, because we won't bloody see you for the amount of other rubbish that's in front of us. So
we also discussed that they're probably shouting at us in front of our face, and we just can't see them because we haven't got the tools. Our eyes aren't sensitive enough to be able to take in the information.
They're in front of us. It's the cops, it's the emus. It's they're there. We're going. They can't believe they're getting away with plain sight being whiter than white, blacker than black, full makeup, studs and earrings in the eyebrows, and they don't know it's us. They're just walking down Grafton Street here. We can actually get a couple of quid for a photograph as well while we're at it. And
that sounds like a 1950s comic strip that I once watched. Because it's at the end they said they can't see us.
And go. I don't know why it's there. You go. It's a word. The X files. What about the Y files? Because XY is, the chromosomes and the DNA and all the rest of it. It's very male chauvinistic. No, I don't know. I'm actually not very intelligent, as you can tell. Is the X the man, or is the X meant to be the male and the Y the female? I don't know.
Is the X is male, isn't it? And then Y is female.
X is male and XY,
and XY is But the Y, we're going to Y files. So why not? Why this and why that and why the other? Well, the X we know marks the spot. But that's what got chosen. But it's the other bunch, the Y lot, why we didn't do this and why we should do that. That's where actually they're the stories you're writing now. We can now write stories that can never be done before because we don't need the same budget and there's different tech. And it's now time that you can get your own audience, your own following, you can publish it yourself. So I think what's happened is the why not is now should be more prevalent, and why not do it yourself? There's another program from the 60s, 70s. Why not turn off the TV and do it yourself and just go out there and do it?
Yeah, I remember that one. I used to like that actually. Yeah, and you're right. I think it's also, I think, taking some kind of a power away from the production companies who won't like me saying this, but it's given greater independence to the indie film industry. That you can do it yourself. You can be at home. You can edit, as I do. I have a home office here, so which I did edit a film, my documentary 1 Billion. I did all the editing on my computer here at home. I did the music here. There's any sound effects, the color grading. I did it all here.
God bless him. 45 minutes into the show, he managed to mention the film. He managed to mention.
Well, I had to come on. I need to plug my films.
But it's okay, George. Edit that bit out. Don't worry about it.
I've got the same gear just here as well. I've got my edit suite and Premiere, and I do all the same stuff.
I also I think you were going to ask me about my.
No, we weren't.
We were.
Which was on it's on Amazon Prime Video. It's on Fest Home TV streaming, and it's on Sophie TV. It's streaming at 1 billion as well.
Oh, wow.
So watch all that. I'm just like I've no shame at all. So I'm just going to plug my stuff while I'm here. So
I said it won't be there. Don't worry, plug away. We're taking it out.
I think it's interesting. How if you're making your next film and you were trying to get it onto Amazon, how difficult would that be at this point? Because it seems as though Amazon and Netflix is becoming a harder platform to get your stuff onto.
Yeah, I found that from my experience, happening right now because there's a project that I'm very careful how I say this. There's a project that I'm writing, that I'm developing, based on a very, very, very famous movie that no one's ever made, I think, a series from, and it's begging for it. And so
the backstory, the
the
side story, the back characters, the side bits.
I would say, again, it's an American phrase you hear a lot. It's a reimagining of a story.
Yeah.
So it's a story that was told in, say, 90 minutes many years ago. And I've taken the essence of what that's about, and made it into a series. So I need to then take it now. Once I've almost finished the first episode, and once I have the other episodes all mapped out and so on, then where do I go there? I have to bring it then to the likes of the Amazons or like Netflix or whatever. And the problem is that I would have to have a reputable producer, agent.
We better go then. Leave now. We're off.
We're all finished.
That's our signal to leave the room.
Not including press.
No, actually, no. I'm going to stop you, Dave. The strange thing is, we'll change the wording. It's not a problem, it's an opportunity. We're going to change the wording again. You don't need a reputable one because they're feck all use. You want the brown bag one. You want the one that gets shit done, that opens doors and just kicks them down. Because if they're semi, clean and actually, it's like Just Call Saul. You're going to get it done at the right price.
Yeah. True. No, you're right. You're dead right. That's very true. And I think it's a case of getting the right person who has access to getting that door open.
Now, access all areas.
Yeah, I'm not near that door, right? But so I need that person, I want him or her to basically open that door and bring my project in, and bring me in with this project. So that's going to be my next challenge once I finish.
Do you know? No, this is a weird thing. That's what we were talking to an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
An awful lot of people were staying in silos and they were going, that's not my problem. It's another one of our shows, SEP, someone else's problem. Go, it's not someone else's problem. You can do all your work, invested all your time, invested all your energy, use up all your resources, and some other bloke may or may not open the door. And if he doesn't open the door, you're at nothing. If you're saying the power is with them. So we've actually got to pull you're empowering that person because they've nothing to bring in through the door had you not given them it. So we can actually take that power away now and go, you can sing your own song. The tech is there. Actually, you're building the backstory and all the opportunities. That's what we were saying about the story. The story is the opportunity for the actor, for the line, for the crew, for the cast, for the actual end consumer to enjoy the entertainment or the information. You've got it all. You can write that story, and then it's your team. You don't give it away and go, well, you can have half, or Dragon's Den opening the damn door. You've nothing without you if you have the value. So we've actually got to take the power back. We've got to realize the value of what you have. We've got to package it so it can actually be seen and heard from where you're standing using what you have, as opposed to let the mountain come to Muhammad. Let the field of dreams be here. That's what we were saying the last show. We're saying, you've got the field of dreams. You've got the key to it. Fuck everyone else. They can queue up outside and get in and pay an entry on the way in. You don't need to ask someone else's permission to value your value. We just have to that's the game that's the journey we're now on. We're going, value ourselves. You already know you have the value because you've got awards. We can write the technique. We just need to package ourselves better to be seen and heard by who can empower it to happen.
Is there anything we can gain from the likes of the social media people who you see all these new technologies suddenly taking off? Yeah, and they're literally doing it.
They're not asking permission.
These people, and they're just flying off. Are there any examples that we could follow that they're giving us that we could replicate in the film industry?
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but I know I'm kind of going a little bit off here with the pointer.
That's where off-road, four-wheel drive.
Off-road, four-wheel drive, yeah.
But I do find one of the problems that I experience, and I don't want to sound like a bit of a downer here, but one of the problems that I have, say, in the industry is that when you're doing, it's like a one-man band initially, right? So film work is about teams, it's collaboration and so on. Certainly when you're on a set and before in pre-production, it's very much team-orientated. But before that, when you're me, coming up with the ideas, writing the story, developing it, and then you're finding other people. The problem is that you can't do it all, and you try to, but things sometimes are a bit loaded against you because you're so busy writing. You're trying to produce. You're trying to get the money for this particular project. You can't. It's very difficult in the branding of yourself. How to brand it, because that's another job that you must be able to do with brand and promote yourself, be seen out there in public. Marketing and so on of your films. There's a lot of different aspects of the film industry that people don't realize that you have to be able to do and able to be successful. And yet it's extremely difficult. So sometimes, as you say, you should be able to take the power back from the guy who can get in the door, and you should be able to go in the door, But there are people who are gatekeepers who are preventing that.
Well, now I'm going to jump in there because that's the weird word, I. If we can turn the I to a we, as you said, you hit the magic word, the team, the dream team. It doesn't need to be a big team. It just needs to have a few of the bits. If you're aligned and your visions are aligned, you're saying, before you could be writing the uncommissioned script because you can use your tool set, but no one's asked for it, no one's willing to pay for it, and we don't know till we find out after we've done it, if we haven't asked or it hasn't been commissioned. Whereas we know you can do it. Now we just need to move into the middle a bit more, find a little bit more of the family and go, we don't want to work for the man. We want to work for ourselves. What do we want? We want a Star Trek alternative story. We're aligned. We'll do have a few of more of the functions. And that's where you have the indie production go, where we want to do this. We want to work together. We want to use our skill sets and create the value. We understand there's all these jobs we don't want to do, which is marketing, sales, business development, but we know we'll take that pain to get the game. And that's exactly where myself and George are in the industry, and people were realizing they have to step out of the silo. That's what Frederica Murphy was saying in her book. You have to lead yourself beyond the edge of the comfort zone. The comfort zone, we're comfortable writing, but not marketing and business development and sales and all these other things. But we know they have to be done. And if we don't sell, the rest was for nothing. Well, we could produce something. We've used our time, but we haven't sold. We haven't earned, and we be disempowered the next time. So this time, that's what I was saying at the very beginning of the show or in the middle of the show, we're saying, if we've one more chance, one more dance, and we want to make it a good one, then we want to have the dream team. We want to work together. We want to do the best something, and we want to get it out there. And you've touched on it, we want to all be sitting there, 5 or 6 of us, dressed up in hoodies and balaclavas and giggling away to ourselves that the bunch around us are paying 10 quid a head and laughing their heads off or being scared shitless, whichever it is. We don't know if it's a horror comedy or they're crying their eyes out for the romantic, whatever it is. But the thing is, we want to create something that other people enjoy and they'll get to see. And that's the common dream thread now. And I think we're all on that journey. We recognize our talents. We need the eye. There can be no more eyes. They got to become we's to hedge the bet going forward.
Yeah, and I think just to say, don't let me forget it because I want to mention film festivals as well, right? How important they are for the independent film industry. But no, you're right. The dream team could be one other person. It's rightly, as you said, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I'm firing George. It's me. We're off out of here after this. We go.
I'm a dream team of one at the moment. And R2D2 and Doctor Who. And a few.
You're hanging out with a bunch of robots. There's a common team going on here.
Let's just get something straight here. Garvin keeps saying in the shows that he'll fire me. Actually, I could fire him. What about that, Garvin?
No, George, I'm living in my own fantasy realm. This is my personal universe. You're a figment of my imagination.
That's it. We don't exist. We're not here. Hang on a second.
I think there's some famous film out there back in the 70s or something. Some guy is actually on a hospital trolley and he's plugged in and he's deep coma. And the entire universe is him dreaming.
Actually, that sounds like a Philip K. Dick story. That's a Philip K. Dick story. I think it's called Valis or something like that. Valis, or it's not A Scanner Darkly. The Divine Invasion. The Divine Invasion.
So
that's
Dave
the story in The Divine Invasion.
You're off to do the festival run next, is it?
No, well, the thing is, thanks very much for that. Yeah, so the festivals is basically, you're talking about awards and all the rest of it. And while a lot of people can argue, right, and I think rightly so, that, We shouldn't be all getting awards or giving awards to each other type of thing. And no one person should be better than the other and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot to be
except
said.
me and you, because you've got number 1, 2, 3 stacked and packed and racked to the background.
Yeah.
I can say that because I have them all. You came fourth. I've got silver, gold, and bronze.
Yeah, except for us three here, I suppose.
That's it.
Yeah.
But the film festivals are wonderful for showcasing your talent, And I think if you're making a film, even if you're doing a low budget, or zero budget film, and you're doing it with your friends and you're doing it at home, and you've got a really crappy little camera or whatever, or your phone or whatever it is you're doing, film festivals are so important because you're networking with other filmmakers and producers and all the different people.
Mm-hmm.
Your film is up on a screen, even if it's a 6x5 or whatever it is screen in a hotel room. It's on a screen. It's with an audience. And it gives you a great boost of confidence if your film is selected to be showcased. It's a wonderful thing, and I just think that the whole film festivals are so important in the independent film industry. And I am so grateful to the awards that I received and the acknowledgements that I received from them. Certainly, they always are wonderful. But at the very, very beginning, when the first film went in and the first official selection, that was a huge. I felt like I won the Oscar. I thought I was in Hollywood. Yeah. It was my confidence went from here to here. And I just see that there is so an important aspect, but you don't really hear about that when people talk about working in the film industry. We hear about the DOP and we hear about the first AD and we hear all the different aspects of the film crews and so on, but you don't actually hear about the value. It's another aspect of the team of this group that you do need when your film is done. Where does it go? And it's not just going to go out to Omniplex or the Odeon. Sometimes it will go to the local or the nearest film festival that's close to you, a screen for an audience. And that's a wonderful experience, even just to hear the feedback and the reactions and so on. So I just wanted to mention it because I think it's an important aspect that's never really included when people talk about what it is. And
I'm glad you said that now. George, cut that out as well, for God's sake.
No, I'm going to keep that in. Yeah. No, I've actually, a couple of my films have been put into things, and one of them was the Cork Film Festival, Short Film Festival, and another one was a broadcasting thing that my film won an award for as well. So it gives you those kind of boosts, but especially when you spent maybe 4 or 5 years trying to get a film up and ready and finished and out, and you need something to, if you're not going to get any money back from it, you need something for all that effort you've got in. But and the other thing is that I know that in America, the Americans specifically focus on how many awards have you won, and if you've not won the awards, you're not going to be chosen as a filmmaker, because although you can demonstrate you've got all these films, they're not interested in that. They'll take someone that's just new with an award and actually give them the job over someone with 30 years experience, constantly turning out movies, but they've not won awards, so they don't want to give them that work.
Now, if we're talking the accountant language, the business language, you have the permission now for the investors. They're going, you've done something in the past, you got an award, you produced something with an award, you did it again, you consistently did it. So that is now removing, we talk this language, the risk perception of reward, risk reward belief perception for investors for to invest in the bigger feature, or to let you be more producer, director than writer, or to take on the bigger roles, or get an A-lister with a bit of budget. That's really what's been, you have the CV for that. You're going, I've done it a load of times. Every time I do it, I can do this. There is the proof, and that's the proof they wanted. They also wanted the A-lister actor draw. They were, well, that actor always draws X number of viewers. So they want to match those two and go, this is a better hedge bet that if we spend 5 million on it or 10 million on it, we should get our money back, or we have a better chance of getting it on the streamers. And so it's all about that business language as well. You touched on, you've done it. You can plug yourself into those other teams. And that's what you're doing. They want you, the production houses need you more because they're a functional something in the main. They can plug in service of delivery. We can deliver shot, we can deliver camera, catch sound, but they've got to wrap that around the story that is winning the awards of, and the actors presenting that. So I am the biggest newbie on the planet. I am a virgin in this whole industry. I've not got I'm actually like your man out of Red Dwarf with the BSc. I've got my swimming certificate. That's why I haven't got my degree. I haven't got my award from any festival. I hope George will say it. We aspire that when we do something, it'll be good. And the affirmation will be that they say, that was a bloody good job, well done. And a lot of people enjoyed watching it. They're my two goals in life now, that I do something. There's a week, because I can't do it on my own. There's something coming down the line. There's a dream team developing. We're going to work together. We're going to create something that wasn't there before. And the audience is going to love it. And we're going to win a bronze swimming certificate. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So are you on the journey to your next bronze swimming certificate? Or do you really care about those anymore? You just want to keep doing the do?
I always care about the awards. I have to say,
I knew it. He's got 55 certificates stuck to the wall in the bathroom.
What, 50? Just 55? Come on.
That's just the room. That's the wall behind you. Never mind it.
Yeah. It should be 52 though.
42, George. 42. The making of life.
52. Jokers Wild.
Yeah, there you go. 52. That's our goal. 52. I think for me, it's the festivals are wonderful. I love doing the festivals. I love getting my stuff into there. I don't know when this is going out, but I've 3.
Never.
I can see you there. They're just like,
we're ending our career right now. In fact, we stopped at 100. This is the end of it.
2 weeks time.
And on that note, good night. Thank you. Goodbye. I'm off to get a real job,
Yeah. That's what we should be doing.
That's my wife keeps on telling
me. I have 3 festivals coming up in November. The Waterford Film Festival is doing the documentary. There's the Underground Film Festival in Dunleary. They're doing Aretha, the drama. Was nominated. There's 2 nominations for that film. One for me is Rising Star Award, and the other is for Best Supporting Actress for Denise McCormick, who is a brilliant actress. She's in the Irish film Deadly Cuts, which is in cinemas at the moment. So the third one is in Brussels, in Belgium, and that's the documentary 1 billion, and that's it's got French subtitles and everything on that one. So that's happening. All of the 3 of them in 1 month. So my thing is to keep the film festivals going and to reach as many people as possible with the work. But what I do love about attending them is I'm looking at films that may never see the light of day, but people's blood, sweat, and tears went into this thing. Yeah. And it's a work of art, regardless of what people value. Say, oh, it's a bit of a shit film or whatever. It's a work of art. People have had sleepless nights, putting this thing together. They created from a thought in their head, from one thought in their head to a finished product. And a lot of people don't realize, if you're not a filmmaker or in the media, don't realize the process of from the thought in the head to the screen. It's a vast, there's many things. And so I love going to the festivals to see that, I did see, I'm not going to name a name, but was at a festival and I saw a film that was about turf. And it was a bit too long, but it was somebody's blood, sweat, and tears went into it. It was probably one of the most boring films I've ever seen. But they were clever in how they shot it. They did have a good story. I think they dragged out a bit too long, which is a danger in short films in particular, or any film. It's knowing in your story when to stop. There's a point you need to stop.
Well, the strange thing is there, Dave, you've got the viral capability in the sense of it won the award and accolades for most boring film about a piece of turf ever seen. And actually, the billion people in YouTube that went off to see what is now the most boring film on the planet, it actually achieved what it needed to achieve. A man was taking the holy piss. He's going, if I pick up a piece of twig here or turf, we'll stretch it for 90 minutes. We'll do a lot of cinematography around this and we'll put it out there for a laugh. And it'll probably get more bloody customers than the A-list, or bunch.
Unfortunately, at this particular point in time, we have to know when to finish as well. because
no.
we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes at this
I've
particular
got
time.
another 5 hours left. Come on.
Yeah.
The never-ending story didn't even get to start.
That's it. No. This is we have to finish somewhere. This is where we're going to
before the tech gives up.
Before the tech gives up, when my wife comes in and tells me, George, it's dinner time. Come on, get out of here. You know. And the men want to start work again, and they've stopped working because you're doing your show. All right, okay. So we have had a great hour and a bit talking about things like. Star Wars. No, actually started off with Star Trek. We barely got to Star Wars. We did talk about Doctor Who quite a bit, and Davros, I think it was, as the character, not Stavros, who was from Kojak. And then we got all into some of the a little bit into the kind of writing ideas of how we construct characters and some of the problems with current films that are going on at the moment. And there it led eventually into the film festivals, which I think are one of the important areas that we do need to get awards for, because sometimes the gatekeepers won't let us in unless we show those little dangly things. It's a bit like the vaccination things that you have to show these days. You're not allowed into this restaurant unless you show this thing here, mate, you know. And I think that's where it's kind of going. So at this particular point in time, are there any last words you'd like to say there, Dave, just before we end the show?
Well, you know what? I thought it was going to be very painful, the whole experience, and I was right. So thank you. Thank you both for that. I'm off now to get an anesthetic and a coffee.
And not vaccination.
Well, if that means I don't have to do it again, yeah.
No. It's okay. We can replace, actually, if you could, George, we could overlay Dave with Davros. Put him in his little Segway, because he's going to need it on the festival route, because he's up and down like a bloody yo-yo collecting goddamn awards. Every time he sits back at the table, they call his name again. You're going to go, he might as well be having waiters, giving out the drinks at the same time.
That's it. They're more precious than the awards.
Thank God and everybody for this particular...
Yes, yeah. No, actually, what we forgot to mention was all the spaceships that we love seeing. So you must watch this episode. This is a visual medium. You have to watch all the special effects that were going on, especially the TARDIS. That's one to explore later on in our show. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.
All the best. Take care. Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and click on the bell for notifications.